Welcome back everyone, I'm James the Tie Guy, and today we have a new Black Series vehicle figure set to take a look at. This is the newly released number 5 in the series. This is Enfys and her Swoop bike from the new Solo movie that came out back in May. This is actually available now. It started shipping from several online retailers like Entertainment Earth. Amazon still has it up for pre-order. I don't know if any of that have shipped yet. I know I placed my order when they first went up, and that hasn't shipped. This one I actually got from one that was imported, so I could get it here early to do a review on it. It retails for $59.99, and for that you get the bike and the figure. Now this actually is more than I thought it was going to be, not the price but the actual vehicle itself. I didn't think it was going to be as large as it is. You can actually see I'm having trouble fitting it in my frame here. It actually measures 21 inches from the front, actually the front here, the wing type rudder thing, and then you got the back engine. It's 21 inches, so almost 2 feet long, just a few inches short. I have the 3.75-inch version I'll bring up here in a minute, but it absolutely dwarfs it. I didn't actually plan for it to be this big. I had to modify the little booth that I use here for pictures and video to actually accommodate this. It comes with the stand here also, which I'll detail a little bit. I'll go ahead and show you the box here, and then that way we can move the bike back a little bit to get more of it in the frame. But it's just pretty much a standard vehicle set box. It is wider. If you notice here, it's wider than the one that the Luke and Ray speeder came in. On the back here, it's got the general details that you see talking about Enfys Nest, and then the Swoop bike, pretty much what was said on the 3.75-inch release of the Swoop bike. It's in basically an engine with a seat on it, so very fast, very dangerous. Everything that we know about them pretty much. So I'll go ahead and set that to the side. It's nice packaging as always. It does have her on the side of it here. So very nicely presented package there. Now we'll move the bike back a little bit more here so we can show it. This is all of it in frame. So it comes in 3 pieces. You've got the main part of it here, and then this part here comes unassembled. It just slides into these grooves. And then you've got this piece here, which has a connector on the end to hold these 3 little plastic pieces together. It comes off, tells you to basically discard it, and then they slide into these grooves here. And then actually these little pole pieces here aren't connected. They're movable, so if we take our hand off of it here, it's probably not going to stay on very well after that. We'll just go ahead and set her down here. But they move like back and forth like this for different positions. And then this actually, let's see if we can get it to pop off here. There is an engine underneath. It's not very detailed. It's not quite as detailed as I hoped it would be, but they didn't really have to make it do this at all, so I guess it's a little extra. There's its engine, kind of beefy looking. I kind of like how it's reminiscent of the old 12-cylinder engines used back in the World War II fighter planes. So like I said, it's not got any real detailing on it, but it is there, so it's a neat little extra, I guess, that wasn't necessarily something I had to include. The bike itself I like. I do wish they'd maybe done a little bit more detailing, especially with the engines back here. They look really plain, kind of like the 3.75-inch figure. They could have maybe done some black burn type marks or something like that. But you know, it's, when you're looking at it, you're not going to be looking at this in mainly. It's mostly the side views that are best, so it's not a huge deal, and you could actually weather this yourself if you wanted. I'm sure it wouldn't be that hard to give it a wash of some sort. You've got air flaps down here. They're not movable, but they are there. You know, on something this fast up in the sky, it would use these as like air brakes, or it also to help it make tight turns, along with the ailerons and other things it has here, the rudders basically. And in the front here, got the Enfys Nest, her signature colors all over it, the red, orangish red almost. We have more details here, some pipes, hoses. It has this on the side, which I think it could be a gun. I don't actually remember it being fired in the movie, but it could be. I'm not 100% positive, but it is there. And then you've got like pipes going down in here, almost what looks like engine cylinders. So again, I think it's a neat little callback to World War II type fighters. So this thing is mostly engine. You've got all this, the thrusters down here going out to the back. This is pretty much an engine with some metal wrapped around it, which means it's extremely fast. Now you've got in the back here some feet pegs or stirrups. The figure, she fits in here as the other Black Series figures. One can actually almost ride behind her, and this one I'm not so sure about, because unless the figure somehow was able to straddle this giant rudder in the back, I don't know how they would fit here. I've tried fitting a few like with their feet between these, but it doesn't look right. It doesn't really work. I'm not really sure what's up with that. On each side here you've got these little pegs, so you can have her holding her battle staff on either side. Although I think it looks better when she's riding it if she's actually the one holding it. These little foot rests, they're fully adjustable, so it makes it a lot easier to get the figure seated. So those do move. Again, you got the handlebars. You've got a little instrument type cluster here, not much detail on it, but it is there. So again, I can't get over how long and large scale this thing is. It's hard to show on camera, but it might be a little more evident when I bring in the smaller 375 scale, which I'll go ahead and do now. So here it is. I'll set it next to that, and you'll see that it is absolutely dwarfed by this. It's a whole lot bigger, just base, you know, its width or its length, height, everything about it's just a lot bigger. And then there's the figures, so it's a lot bigger too. But the 375 inch I always thought looked great, but this 6-inch scale really helps to convey the size of the Swoop, and it just really looks awesome. If you see here, the 375 version had little details like the air flaps, but nothing, not like the big one does. No foot stirrups on the back here. These weren't adjustable, so her feet never quite reached them. It made it a little bit harder to get her on there. It wasn't bad for what it is, you know, $20 toy. But this here, put in my written review of it, it stands out really well, even in big collections, because it's just striking its size. So if you have a large collection and want something eye-catching, you can't go wrong with this. Now let's get to the figure. This is your standard 6-inch scale Black Series figure. I'll go ahead and get one thing out of the way that I know a lot of people wonder. Her helmet, it is not removable. I never actually thought it would be. The first time I seen the figure, I've seen a lot of people speculating. I never was one that thought it would be. It just didn't seem like it. I mean, she's got all this going on back here, this fur collar. Her hair is really super thick, as you can see here. That's the sculpt of it. If the helmet came off of her, I think it would just look weird. Her head, with the way that the hair sculpt is, I don't know how they would have done it to make it look like she didn't have like some type of a fabulous mullet going on. I'm really not that disappointed in it. I think the figure looks better helmeted, and it's not just because it's a young girl that's underneath it. I just love how the helmet looks. It's got like Mandalorian styling along with some other like from Knights of the Old Republic. I don't care if the helmet comes off, and I really would hope someone wouldn't let that be the determining factor in if they want to buy this, because you know, Black Series figures aren't known for that. None of the troopers' helmets come off. Only a few of the newest clones' helmets come off. It's just not that big a deal to me. You know, for $59.99 you're getting all this, and for that same price you'd be lucky to get one of the new SH figure arts characters that come out from the movie, and all you're getting is the figure itself without this enormous bike vehicle. So not a big deal, but to each his own on that. Make of it what you will. But the figure itself got all this is soft goods, similar to that on the Gamoran Guard. And then you've got the cape, which is soft goods. The color is nice and striking. It's almost like a burnt orange color. It shows up a little different on camera than in real life. It looks dark on camera as I'm looking at it here on the viewfinder, but it's actually a lighter color. She's got her battle staff. I wish it was a little bit more detailed. As you can see, not much detail in it. It's just a gray plastic or a silver plastic, I guess. But I wish it maybe had a little bit of detailing, especially on the blade. But it still looks okay. It is our only accessory, but it's the only one I really expected since that's what we see her with in the movie. In the official guide, it mentions that she doesn't like to use guns. She prefers these types of weapons because of what guns have done to people that she's loved. So she doesn't really use that. But they've done a nice job here on the back of it with these various bits that are sticking out of it. The silver on the visor. This chest piece here, it is connected, but it's, we got the communicator here, which is what modulates her voice to not give away the fact that she's basically just a young girl. So they did a nice job on that. This isn't soft goods, it's rubber, but it does the job fine. You've got her shoes or boots down here. There's some non-removable blade type weapons if it'll focus on those. You got the standard Black Series articulation, which means it's really good. Well over 20 points of it. It's hindered a little bit by this up here, but her head still will turn as far as you could really want it to, and as far as it naturally would in real life. She has good ab crunch motion here if you need that for posing. You've got the legs, which are double jointed like most Black Series figures. The arms here, single jointed, and then the hands move independently. You've got her armor here on both sides, which can be rotated however you need it to. So good articulation there, even though she's got all this extra cape and this soft goods all around her head. And then under it, it's just basically a jumpsuit tuck. It's all connected. Not sure, it's kind of like a little baboonish looking here. I'm not sure about that. I tried including that in the pictures. I always try to include the figure with all the accessories lifted up, but I couldn't take any pictures that didn't make it look like a baboon's rear end, so I'm not really sure what's up with that part of the sculpt, but it is what it is, I guess. Thankfully all this covers that, and it's really not a big deal because mostly I'm going to display this with her on it. This is her next to it if you want to see the scale of it. Typically I guess she would be posed standing with this like she was in the movie when Han Solo was bluffing about the mercenaries on the Falcon right before Lando decided he had it and took off. So there it is, posing with it. It looks, great pose like that, and I guess if our helmet did come off, people would probably want to pose it, next to it with our helmet off. But most of the movie was with it on, and the intrigue that it created. That's why I like it just like it is. And then as far as riding it, bring it over here. Let's see if I can demonstrate these foot stirrups. There's nothing in the instructions about it. I'm assuming this is what they're for though, because her feet fit in these perfectly, as do the other Black Series figures. And in the movie, during the Vandor heist on the Convoy X, they are riding it, each other's swoops like this, trying to jump on it. So I assume that's what it's for. It kind of looks pretty cool, especially if they were to ever come out with any other figures from her gang. But as you can see here, it latches onto her feet and it's fairly sturdy. I mean, you can rock it back and forth and she moves, but she doesn't go anywhere. Still can't figure out this back set here. For them to be that far back, they would be straddling this piece of it pretty hardcore. So I guess it could work, but it looks kind of funny, and then there would be no room for the front. And then if you try to do it with them on the back, it just doesn't work at all. So I'm not sure I guess that's just there for looks, because functionality of it isn't very great. Now the stand on it is included with the other vehicles in the Black Series figures, the speeders. It's excellent in my opinion. It's this clear plastic, which means it's would be really easy to paint if you wanted to make it look like something other than what it is. Since they are swoops and they call themselves the Cloud Riders, I was thinking something, and just given the texture of it, I was thinking something maybe black, or not black, but blue and white paint scheme, kind of like a cloud might be cool for it. I wouldn't really want to go with anything earth tones, because they fly and they live high above the ground. They actually, these repulsor lifts on these swoops allow them to fly at altitudes a lot higher than a normal speeder bike. So I was thinking maybe a cloud type theme or something like that. But if we go ahead and I'll set her back on it, and it's fairly easy to position her, especially since these footrests are adjustable. So what I like to do is have her turned however way you're going to display her with her staff, and then her hands clip onto the handlebars. It will be easier doing this from in front of the camera instead of behind it. And then once you get her seated however you like, you can adjust these footrests here to accommodate that, and then it kind of helps keep her in position. Basically, you just have it like that, however you want, and then you can position this however you want. This isn't the best pose. It's kind of hard to do it from where I'm at, but if you look in my photo gallery, which I'll link below, you can get some really great poses out of it. And then once she's like that, you can adjust this however you want, and she stays on it pretty well. So you can have it just going straight. You can have it, it doesn't tilt back really, but it tilts forward. But the best are these, I think, angles, these pretty extreme angles. And then you've got her with her staff here, however you want it. And then you can make her head turn even more. And then you've got the cape flared out, and I just think it looks pretty awesome. So, like I said, not concerned about her helmet really, because these types of poses wouldn't look nearly as cool if she was not wearing her helmet, and it wouldn't be practical either. You really couldn't ride this bike without that helmet, because the wind going in your face would basically take your breath away and you could get smacked in the face. It just wouldn't be feasible. So to me, the character is best with the mask on. But so you can go there, pretty heavy angle there, however you want. And then if you just keep her straight on it like this and turn her head looking forward, it's got that pretty awesome Star Wars chopper look going to it. I'll kind of pick it up here so you can kind of see, just especially when she's got both arms on the handlebars. If you look at the pictures that I posted, you can see what it looks like with that, and I just think it looks pretty awesome overall. Definitely was impressed by it a lot more than I thought I would be. I never expected it to be this size going by the box, but I didn't really think about the fact that it would be in 2 pieces and the size it would be once those pieces are assembled. So that is the Enfys Nest Black Series Swoop and figure. All in all, I think it's great for the price point. It is possible that these are going to end up on clearance just like the other vehicles did eventually, but I don't have any problem recommending this for the $59.99 price point. I think it's worth it, considering that the figures are now at least $20, and the vehicle you're getting, I think, is worth it for the price. It looks kind of flimsy, but it's actually well made. I've done tons of pictures with it, and never had any point did I think it was going to break or was I worried about it. Never had to put anything back together again. So I think it'd make a great addition to your collection. It looks best, I think, setting it pretty high. I've got it on one of my shelves with nothing else above it, and it looks pretty awesome. Especially, I think, if you were to do some work to this base and paint it. I think it'd be pretty easy since it's clear to begin with. So that is it. If you have any questions about this, let me know either in the comments below or on the channel's Facebook page. I have the next item that I'm going to be reviewing and doing some pictures of is going to be the Black Series Z6 Riot control baton, first order. It's going to be the one that is newly released. It's on its way to me from Amazon. It's supposed to be here Wednesday. So I know a lot of people are wondering about that because it's got that crazy $200 price point. So I'm going to have it, and I also have the Blade Builders baton that I did a review on a while back that I'll compare it to, since it's just priced at $30, and we'll just get into it and see if it's worth the extra on it, because I know a lot of people have a problem with that price point, considering the most expensive thus far been the $200 or the $100 helmet. there. If you have any questions, let me know. Appreciate your support. If you like the video, the thumbs up would help a lot. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. That would help me out a lot as well. Hope everyone has a great week, and may the force be with you.